Everybody was so different in this neighborhood, but they were strange, different.
You are gonna just love it here. I promise. There's definitely something strange going on.
It was like walking into a Twilight Zone.
You're scaring me! It's not me! It's not me!
It was like we got lifted up and put into a place that we don't belong. I'd still see the same people, but they were in really bad shape. The best way to describe it is like The Walking Dead. I had just opened up a door to hell.
Please. No one believed me.
I know what I saw.
Everyone was a suspect.
The only person that could prove it was me.
It was 2010, and I had actually been divorced 10 years. We were together 18 years, and on my 18th anniversary, he asked, after 18 years, honey, I'll get you anything you want. I go, good, I want a divorce. An apartment came available in Canonsburg, and I moved over there. I was nervous because moving into a new place is just different. And I was right next to my girlfriend, and I knew we were going to be okay because me and her are good friends, and it was a new beginning, a new place.
Let me help you with this box.
Oh, thanks, neighbor.
Neighbor!
It's about 30 minutes from work, jump on the highway, lickety-split, I'm there.
We forgot to give you these.
Oh, thanks for everything, Mike.
Happy to oblige.
Oh. Okay, so see you around.
Our landlord was very attentive to us. It was just odd that he would stop in all the time. But he gave me a year's lease, and that was, to me, fantastic.
He's very eager to please.
Tell me something I don't know. Well, let's get the rest of your stuff inside, huh? You know, you are gonna just love it here. I promise. You're gonna fit right in.
When I first pulled into that driveway and saw this little house, I thought how cute it was. I was excited about starting over and everything. Meeting my neighbors, that was not, I didn't need any new friends. I have tons of friends. But meeting my neighbors and get to know them, and if they need me, here's my phone number, and, you know, feel free to call me. So I always have been that way.
Hi, I'm Anita. I just moved in next door.
I saw the woman next door to me on the porch, so I went over to introduce myself, and she saw me coming. She turned and went in her house and shut the door. And I was like, okay, well, we'll chalk this one up, and guess what? I will never speak to you again. And then I saw a gentleman in a wheelchair with his wife. He was frail. She was very frail, but she would push him.
Hi.
She always looked like she just crawled out of bed, did comb her hair. Look, gosh, I don't want to be rude, like a ragamuffin homeless woman. And they didn't want to interact. Every day we would sit out and have a girls' gossip session, talk about the neighbors. They gave us a lot to laugh at, but it was like we got lifted up and put into a place that is somewhere in time that we don't belong.
Thanks for convincing me to move to the weirdest street in North America. I'm so glad I signed that long-ass lease.
Come on, it's not that bad.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying it. Not till you introduce me to someone who is nice and courteous and not that bad.
Okay, deal. But I'm working on it. Bless you. You okay there, country girl?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's my allergies are killing me.
What's happening with your friend at work?
Who, Ray? He asked me out again.
And?
I said yes.
You did?
To dinner.
Well, that's great.
On the proviso that it is not a date.
Look, he is sweet on you, and you love it. Now just don't go and break his big old heart. Another one for the road? I'm buying.
Why not?
Hey.
Dee made it fun. She was the only reason I had moved there in the first place. Otherwise, I would have never moved there. Usually around 9:30, I would take my medication so I could sleep. I had just gotten it filled, and I shook the bottle, and I noticed some of it was missing.
October 12, 2010. I need a friend.
I actually went back and checked the dates, and I was like, okay, no, they're gone. I was like, well, who else would have been in my apartment? You know, there's nobody else here. At the end of October, Ray kept asking me, could I take you on a date? And I'm like, well, no. I'll go have dinner with you, but you can't call it a date.
Come on, Ray.
So I'm looking out the window, waiting for Raymond to come get me. And I saw this lady, and she's staring across at the apartments. And I don't know what apartment she's looking at, but I just thought it was strange behavior, and I could see she had binoculars. So I went and got my own binoculars and came back to see what she was looking at. Her actions were odd. She looked like a woman that she was trying to catch her husband with a mistress or something.
Nita? It's Ray.
Finally, what's it gonna be, dinner or dancing? Don't we have a date? What's with the binoculars?
Her.
Who?
Her.
Oh, her. What's she doing?
What in the hell is she still looking at?
There's only one way to find out.
No, Raymond! Damn it!
Excuse me.
He was nice to her. He goes, excuse me, why are you sitting over there? You know, he started to talk.
Excuse me, I was just wondering what you're looking at.
When did I give you permission?
She was assaultive to us, but she was more defensive. Like she was afraid.
Listen, lady, I was only asking what you're doing if you need any help.
Date! That's all they've done for 20 years!
It didn't make sense. That she was afraid, and all we did was say, hey, what have you been doing over there?
Come on, we're leaving.
It was like walking into a twilight zone. Everybody was so different in this neighborhood, but they were strange different. They were dirty, lethargic, strange. I thought Dee could always give me the rundown of the neighborhood because she was home a lot more than I could, and maybe she knew her.
And then she just started screaming at us. I was afraid someone might have thought we were hurting her.
She's probably just angry because you caught her snooping.
Yeah, well, I've not seen one normal person since I moved in here.
Neats, this isn't the country. City folk are just different. Stop being such a snob.
I always commented on how strange people were and how we don't belong there. She goes, oh, you're just a snob. I'm like, no, really, we don't belong here.
There's definitely something strange going on.
But you know what's strange? This machine is eating my underwear.
Must be hungry.
No, I'm serious. I must have bought 10 new pair of panties within the last month, and I've got 2. What's with that?
And they're not in there?
No, I checked.
No, those are mine.
All right. Well, either I'm going crazy or someone's coming in here and they're helping themselves. What?
Nothing.
Tell me.
I lost some pills. It was a full bottle. October 12th, 2010. I just got a new script.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Now you're saying you have things missing. Do you think someone's coming in here?
Who would want my dirty panties or your pills?
When someone breaks into your house, it feels like you've been violated. It makes you feel insecure.
I'm gonna go check the locks.
Who would do this? A nut? A pervert? A voyeur? I don't know. I always commented on how strange people were and how we don't belong there. And Dee was, oh, you're just a snob.
Niece, this isn't the country. City folk are just different.
But then things went missing. Like a t-shirt here, my medicine, and then Dee's panties were missing.
I'm gonna go check the locks.
Who would do this? A nut? A pervert? A voyeur? I don't know.
Anything?
If someone's been coming in, I think they used the key.
Did you give Ray a key?
No! It's gotta be Mike.
I told Dee it had to be the landlord because only the landlord's allowed to have a key. All he had to do was go to a locksmith and say, I own this house, I want you to have me a key made. In my eyes, it couldn't be anybody else.
Call him.
So I called the landlord and told him I was changing the locks and here's why. And he became very defensive and apologetic.
Anita, I'm sorry, but that's just crazy. I can't believe you think that I...
He said, by all means, change all the locks to make me feel safe. Ray came over to my house to change the locks, and he was angry that I didn't tell him that had been going on.
Nearly done here. Hey, no one's getting in here without this key. Make sure you keep this one safe. Want a coffee?
Sure.
Okay.
Raymond stayed with me a lot, which made me safe. As long as he was there, I had no worries. Three or 4 months after that, I started experiencing a lot of stomach cramps, and I would throw up for no reason. I felt terrible. I was sick and nauseated. My body was changing, but it was happening so fast, and I couldn't stop it. But the doctors didn't have any answers. He said, you're in perfect health. I seen people's behavior in the neighborhood just getting stranger and stranger.
I mean, where's the fire?
And the same thing was happening to Dee.
Where's the fire? No, I think you should. I think you should. But nobody in this town cares. Nobody in this town cares.
I would see her talking to herself, and she couldn't stop.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
She started looking like somebody who does drugs.
We will. We will. We will. We will.
I was very scared. She was the only reason I had moved there in the first place. And then all of a sudden, it changed. We had a new family that moved into the neighborhood, a husband, a wife, 2 children, and 2 dogs. I was still sick, but they brought life back into the neighborhood. Kids laughing, dogs barking, and the mom coming outside going, "It's time for dinner," and the kids happily go, "Okay, let's go eat." There was life.
Get over here, you son of a bitch! I'm gonna kill you!
I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard screaming coming from next door.
Don't you turn your back on
It
me!
was aggressive. She was gonna kill whoever she was screaming at.
Turn around and look at me!
I had to go outside and see what it was, to see if somebody was hurt.
It's the last time I have had it with you! I have had it! I am going to kill you! Do you hear me? Don't you look at me like that! It'll be the last thing you see! Ah!
3 or 4 months after I moved into this house, I started experiencing a lot of stomach cramps. I felt terrible. I was sick and nauseated, but the doctors didn't have any answers. And I seen people's behavior in the neighborhood just getting stranger and stranger.
Do you think someone's coming in here?
I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard the woman screaming. She was gonna kill whoever she was screaming at. I had to go outside to see if somebody was hurt.
Don't you look at me like that! That'll be the last thing you see!
You think that's funny? Well, maybe next time you can clean it up.
She was yelling at a dog. She talked to the dog like it was an adult. I was paranoid, but I didn't have the answers to why all these things were happening. The break-ins that kept happening in my house, my health, nothing made sense. Two weeks after that, I got some very sad news. Dee told me she was gonna move. I asked her how soon. She goes, "Before next rent." It was that fast. She had started a relationship and she was gonna go live with him because her health was deteriorating.
Came to say goodbye. Come here, country girl.
She didn't say what she was afraid of. She was just didn't want to be alone.
I'm gonna miss you.
I'll call you.
I was happy for her, but I was sad to see her go. Yeah, she was like a sister. Yeah.
We had a good thing going, her and me. She helped make sense of this place.
Well, I'm here now. You got nothing to worry about.
Hope you're right.
She was out by the end of the week. And gone.
Coffee's ready. What you want it?
Raymond stayed with me a lot. And it was around that time he moved in.
Nita!
I felt safe with Raymond. But the neighborhood still seemed weird. But Raymond would tell me that I was being paranoid.
Needs coffee.
Thanks.
What's up with you?
Look at them. They're doing it again, just creeping around.
It's just old needs. And maybe a little bit crazy.
You don't think it was one of them who broke in?
Needs, have you gone crazy too? I gotta go to work. Quit worrying about nothing. Please.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're moving.
Bye, Ray.
And I would look around. I'd still see the same people, but they were in really bad shape. They looked weak and fragile, just like me. The best way to describe it is like The Walking Dead.
I'm not gonna tell you again. Stop crying.
The family that had moved in that was so full of life, they started changing really quick. And the kids would be outside, but they would be outside just screaming, crying, just crying. I was right. Something was going on, but I watched how fast it happened to them, which makes sense on how fast it happened to me. It was like we were being poisoned. When I looked at myself in the mirror, every day I grew older, quicker. I started getting hemorrhaging around my nose and around my eyes, like the blood vessels underneath were busting. My hair was falling out, and I couldn't stop it. I knew something was wrong, but nobody believed me.
City folk are just different. Stop being such a snob.
Needs, have you gone crazy too?
Within a couple weeks, you could see some kind of a change in Ray.
Ray? Ray, what's wrong?
His behavior is agitated. He paces the floor. He keeps running his fingers through his hair. And he was snappy.
Raymond, what has gotten into you?
But that wasn't his normal being with me.
Ray, you're scaring me.
So he was out of character.
CMH? I didn't hear you.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I itched all over him. And I threw the sheets off of me. And I'm like, what is this? It was like flea bites from head to toe. I couldn't believe it. Ray didn't have any bites on him at all. Just myself. The next morning, I got up and went over and poured me a cup of coffee, and I walked out on the porch, taking a few deep breaths, and everything ran through my mind.
Coffee's ready. We want it. Just drink it. You damn water already.
It didn't make sense. Then I took a few sips of the coffee, and just looking around, I went and licked my lips. I was like, oh my God. I could taste chemicals in the coffee. He had to have done it. He had to have put this in my coffee. At that point, I realized Raymond was poisoning me the whole time. I saw Ray asleep, and all I could think is, I gotta get away from him. I was so scared. Everything at that point ran through my mind. Maybe he'd been coming to my house Maybe he's been doing this. Maybe he's been poisoning me since I met him.
Coffee's ready. We want it.
You know, everything imaginable had come into my mind that he was probably that guy all along. Here was somebody who was killing me slowly. And why? None of it made sense. I was horrified. Like I had just opened up a door to hell. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, how can I stay away from him? How can I keep him away?
Nita! Going to work!
I was terrified to even be in the apartment. And so I waited for him to go out. And then over the phone, I said, I want you out and I don't want you to come here anymore. But he continued to call me the entire time, every day, every hour.
Hello?
Anita, it's me. I miss you. I want to come home.
You can't come back here.
I never hurt you, baby. I couldn't. I love you. It's not me. It's not me.
He cried and said, I would never hurt you. I love you. Somebody's doing this to us. But I didn't believe him.
You don't even know. You don't even know what you're doing. Just don't come back here. Please don't come back here.
Anita! Anita!
I was so scared, thinking, how can you love me knowing you're killing me? What's wrong with you? Ray called every 30, 40 minutes. If I didn't answer, he'd send a text. And then he would change completely.
Hi, honey. I know you're scared. I love you. I won't hurt you. Please just talk to me. Please talk to me.
I was scared from 0 to 100, how scared I was of Raymond. I was 100. I was off the chart. I didn't feel like there was anybody I could turn to that could understand how afraid I was. One day, it was a weekend, I came home and the doors of my house was open. That was the first sign that I knew he had been there. I was sure it was him. It looked like he had gone through everything in my closet. All my clothes were messed up. And jewelry that I had hidden in the house, they were all empty and they were all gone. Nobody else would know where I hid these things. The police didn't even come do a report. They're like, well, just make a list of everything and turn it into your insurance. They didn't understand how afraid I was. I felt in my heart that this was going to escalate into some nightmarish, I'm going to be murdered. I knew I was still being poisoned. I felt like I was being hunted. Like everywhere I looked, I would see him. I put trash bags on the windows because somebody kept looking in my windows. I was so paranoid that the whole time I was being poisoned, I thought it was just Raymond. I had gone and got a restraining order because I was so scared. The police said they were looking for him. They said they would drive through the neighborhood, and if they saw him, they'd pick him up. But they weren't, because he would drive right past. I couldn't stop him, and I didn't believe anybody else could stop him either. So I sat on the bathroom floor for 4 days, waiting for Raymond to come through the door, and I was gonna kill him.
Ray.
No, ma'am. This is Officer Tabak, Canonsburg City Police Department.
Raymond was arrested March 14th, and they found him guilty of violation of restraining order. And he was being held over for court for stalking and harassment. I was so glad that they had him in custody. I thought now that he was arrested, I would get better, the poisoning would stop, and I could go back to a normal life. I thought this will all get better now. But it didn't stop. I was getting worse. I realized Raymond had been poisoning me the whole time. I couldn't stop him, and I didn't believe anybody else could stop him either.
You don't even know what you're doing!
So I was gonna kill him. But when he was arrested, I thought this will all get better now. This will all stop, and I could go back to a normal life. But it didn't stop.
No.
I was getting worse, not better.
No.
Ray wasn't poisoning me, and now he's in jail. I'm like, what have I done? What he said was true. And I didn't believe him. I'm still being poisoned. Who was doing this?
Hello, Washington County.
Can I speak to the warden, please?
What's this regarding, ma'am?
It's about Raymond Hussman. There's been a mistake.
I wanted to get him out of jail. I needed to explain to everybody and make this right and get him the medical help he needed. And they told me no, I had to go through the court system. They couldn't allow him to speak to me without getting in more trouble. So I had to petition the judge to even speak to him. I was seeing myself dying every day. There was no joy in anything except crawling into bed to go back to sleep. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't lift my purse. I couldn't put my shoes on. I had turned into 100 years old. Raymond's in jail. I haven't spoke to him, and nobody has any answers.
Anita, it's me.
It took 6 weeks before I could legally speak to Raymond. I was desperate, and I kept saying, I'm gonna get you out of here, and I'm sorry. And he was quiet because he was frail and he was sick.
Neats, there's something in the water. You gotta stop drinking the water.
But who's doing it?
I don't know. Stop using the water.
Ray said something's wrong with the water. That was the only thing the whole time that we shared in common.
Coffee's ready.
Ray, I'm so sorry. What have I done?
He said, it's okay. It's not your fault. You didn't know. By April 1st, I stopped using anything and everything. No ice machine. I would bottled water. I ate salads right out of the bag. Nothing from a house. I put the filters on my water, and I started getting better. I started to be able to walk again, to talk again. So I had to find out what was poisoning us. 50 feet away from me, there was a fence there. It says no trespassing. Just beyond the fence was this industrial plant, and it was enormous. So I had to go find out what was in the plant. All I could do is just go through the internet, and I gathered up as much information as I could. It used to be a uranium mine, and when World War II was over, they started making industrial transformers. Old transformers made before 1975 contained high levels of PCB. PCB is a vegetable-based transformer oil and highly toxic. When these transformers go bad, they drain off the old oil and they would throw it out into the railroad car. They leaked out of the railroad car, went down into the creek, which went to the Monongahela River, where we get our water supply. So I called the water company, and the lady was nice enough, and I told her everything that had happened. She said, we're responsible for what we put in the water. We're not responsible for what's already in the water.
Then who is responsible?
She goes, that would be the Department of Environmental Protection, or the DEP. They're responsible for chemical polluting that comes down the rivers into our plant. So if they don't stop it, we still get it. I knew my whole neighborhood was poisoned. It was obvious.
I don't know what it is.
Stop it!
PCB poisoning mimics mercury poisoning in all its effects, but also gives you psychosis and paranoia. It's so painful. It's like being in a twisty tie and being crushed through your whole body. That's how painful it is. The people around me, they don't know why they're in pain. They're talking to themselves, looking old, frail, dirty, but still going through their everyday process. All that time, I was actually crazy and insane. And the break-ins that kept happening in my house, I don't know. The investigation's ongoing. But I was seeing things that weren't even real. This was because of PCB poisoning. Now it all makes sense. I have legal documents stating testing in my area, and they have high levels of PCB. It was from the plant. And nobody ever did anything. My neighborhood's becoming a little better. It's still quiet. The kids still don't run and play yet in the neighborhood, but they're not crying. So things are changing. Ray, as of today, resides in the county jail. And he wouldn't be in jail without me. I know he's waiting for me, no matter where that's at. And I'll wait for him, as long as it takes. If Raymond was here, I would tell him, it's okay, I love you, and I'm sorry.
I love you. I just want to go home.
My favorite thing in the world is to have Raymond smile. He's got a beautiful smile and a laugh. And it got to where there was nothing to laugh about.
I'm so glad you're out. There'll ever be more challenging times, and I love you with everything I have.
Will you marry me?
I will.